The drama in the National Wrestling Alliance continues. We've got an update on the suspension of former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis and his eventual departure from the company. An update on Billy Corgan, the NWA president, thinking that Aldis's frustrations with the company is all a work. Got an update on Tyrus, possibly Tyrus, winning the NWA World Heavyweight Championship very, very soon in the near future. Also, a female star has announced her retirement amid issues with the NWA. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone's doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into. And the other day we did a rare NWA news update. That's because of this big story going on around former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis. His announcement, he's given his notice. He's going to leave the company amid issues between himself, the NWA president and owner Billy Corgan. An issue whereby he felt like his wife, Mickie James, was being disrespected. Billy Corgan's comments about female pro wrestlers, another all-female pay-per-view, NWA Empower 2, and why they wouldn't do it, about names such as Tyrus and Trevor Murdoch, can they work the NWA style, whatever that is? And there's been a fallout, and because of Aldis's comments, on top of that, he's now been suspended. There's rumors about Tyrus as well becoming the world champion. It's nuts. It really is nuts, and there's so much controversy going on around the National Wrestling Alliance right now. So let's get into it because there is still more news breaking about this story. So I thought I'd do another NWA update today. So Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select has given some further details about Aldis, Corgan, Tyrus, an upcoming pay-per-view, and possibly a title change as well. Now, the NWA has been the talk of the wrestling world over the past 7 days with the Nick Aldis National Wrestling Alliance drama. Those that Fightful have spoken to claim that the situation is not a work. I know a lot of people are saying it's pro wrestling, everything's a work, and you'd be given to thinking that. I even speculated on such in my last video talking about this with all of the drama that we've seen over the last few months in All Elite Wrestling regarding the CM Punk, Kenny Omega, Young Bucks, Ace Steel, Tony Khan situation. You would think, well, maybe a smaller company that doesn't have a lot of traction, like the National Wrestling Alliance, would look to that and say, why don't we just do that? Why don't we just do that as an angle and it will get people talking? But those that Fightful have spoken to say it's not a work. We'll touch on that in a bit, though, later on. Many weren't decided in the months prior because, again, this has been an issue that's been bubbling for a while. You have to remember, Nick Aldis was pulled from an NWA World Heavyweight Championship match a few months ago back in August at their anniversary show, and a lot of people said, oh, it's part of an angle. But even he himself, by all accounts, was like, no, I don't really know what's going on. But we've got an update on that. That will be coming later on. Fightful are reporting that they have been told that Nick Aldis had remained professional in his handling of NWA business in recent months. Of course, he's a senior figure in the company. At one point, there was even speculation that he had bought into the company. I don't know how accurate that is. But he's set to appear, by all accounts, on Sam Roberts' show this week to talk about the situation. It's not the first time we've heard that he is scheduled for several media appearances to discuss his frustrations with the NWA, to discuss his issues with Billy Corgan, to kind of give a more in-depth timeline of what's going on. Clearly, he's not bound to any NDAs or anything like that. It's not like the AEW situation where CM Punk, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Ace Steel, etc. couldn't talk publicly on the matter. Nick Aldis is going to talk publicly on the matter. Being suspended or not, he's going to speak about it publicly. Now, this is where it gets quite alarming because Fightful were also told that Tyrus, who of course is going to be competing for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship at the upcoming Hard Times 3 pay-per-view, which is actually in a couple of days' time. It's on Saturday, November 12th. He's going to be competing against Matt Cardona. He's going to be competing against Trevor Murdoch to try and win Murdoch's NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, Nick Aldis was scheduled for that show, but now he's been suspended. He's been pulled from it. Fightful are reporting that they were told that Tyrus's Fox News following has led him to being the most purchased major bendy figure in the major pod line, something which clearly the NWA is paying significant attention to because Fightful are reporting there was a customized or altered NWA World Heavyweight Championship title bout made. Fightful are told it may have actually been sized to fit Tyrus. So that has led a lot of people putting 2 and 2 together and possibly getting 4, not necessarily the wrong answer. It's led to them thinking, is Tyrus this coming weekend going to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship? As I mentioned, he's part of this three-way match against Trevor Murdoch, who's the current champion, and Matt Cardona, a former champion. Could this mean that this coming weekend, the internet will explode as 49-year-old Tyrus, yes, 49... 49-year-old Tyrus could actually become the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And Tyrus way past his prime as well. Not that he necessarily had one, but this is insane. Now, as I mentioned, it's a platform, is his appearances, and he's been on Fox News for years at this point. We're talking 5+ years. He's been a regular contributor to Fox News and shows on that cable network. And I'm not going to get political, don't worry, anything like that. But it's a platform that may also be leading to bigger things, as I mentioned, because of this altered NWA World Heavyweight Championship bout. It's led to many people thinking he's probably going to win the match, that three-way match at Hard Times 3. Outside of his NWA and Fox News appearances, he's perhaps best known for his run in Impact Wrestling as well as his stint in WWE as the Funkasaurus Brodus Clay. He did make news being part of this Fox News universe where he was accused of sexually harassing his former un-PC co-host Brick McHenry in 2019. McHenry filed a lawsuit against Tyrus and Fox News that same year. It was later settled out of court, which a lot of people certainly haven't forgot about, and certainly they shouldn't. And it's led to a lot of people saying, wait a minute, wait a minute here. Tyrus, who if you've seen a recent Tyrus match on NWA television, if you've been unfortunate enough to see a recent Tyrus match, the guy gets gassed up walking around the ring. As I mentioned, he's 49. I'm not going to sit and say I'm in amazing shape, but Tyrus certainly isn't either. And you're going to have this guy who's got this checkered past, isn't a good wrestler. He's going to be the guy. You put the NWA. I mean, I know that the NWA isn't what it was in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I get that. But it still is, a prestigious championship. Those letters still have some kind of weight to them. And you're going to give the belt to Tyrus? Seriously? Why? Because he's got a following? Because he's on Fox News? I mean, come on. And especially when you've got a guy like Nick Aldis who wants the NWA to be better. His issues with the company right now is because he's not happy with the way the company's being run. And he feels like they should be doing all women's pay-per-views. They should be trying to recruit the best talent in the world. And I understand it's been unfortunate for the NWA. As I said, I was a fan. NWA Power 2019, that show was awesome on YouTube. Look at the roster they had. They had Nick Aldis. They had LA Knights. They had Ricky Starks. They had Eddie Kingston. They had Thunder Rosa. Even Cornette, before he went crazy on commentary, that was entertaining too. And even when they replaced him with Wade Barrett, who, by the way, is doing commentary for SmackDown right now, they had good talent. They really, really did. Allison Kay as well. They had fantastic talent on that show. And the pandemic nearly did kill them off. And they all did go elsewhere because they couldn't run shows for a long time because it was studio wrestling and you couldn't be in an enclosed space. So their entire gimmick was killed off. And that's unfortunate. But still, you managed to make it through. And now, the difference in this company after the pandemic of the talent that they started to feature and hire and having Tyrus win television championships and Tyrus win matches and again walking around the ring, it's not good. And I understand you can say it's a business and he moves the needle for the NWA, maybe not in the way they would like, but he moves the needle nevertheless. That's all they care about. Controversy creates cash. I don't know. But Nick Aldis' issues with the NWA are perfectly justified. You've got the guy that owns the company. I understand it's Billy Corgan's company. He can do what he wants. Ultimately, it's his. It's not for me to tell him what he should do or what he has to listen to me or people like myself on YouTube or on social media. It's up to him. But you can certainly criticize strange decisions. You've got a guy like Nick Aldis who loves the NWA and you're punishing him and firing him, essentially forcing him out of the company because of bad decisions, because the company's not being run properly, and that's a shame. It really is. Now, when it comes to Billy Corgan, he's given an update on his perception, and there is always two sides to every story, of course, but he's given his thoughts on it. As I mentioned, if you're not aware, Nick Aldis recently stated that he'd given his notice to NWA, and as a result, received a suspension from the company about talking about this publicly. In response to these events, NWA owner Billy Corgan has spoken to Busted Open Radio and accused Aldis of, quote, working an angle, saying, what is this? He's working an angle. He's working an angle. I don't know what the angle is, but why? Expressing his exasperation at the issue, Corgan questioned Aldis' motives, saying, why would you build up a company, put your name on a company, put your face on the poster, and on the way out of the door goes, heck with it. It doesn't make any sense because in a way he's burying himself. Why would Nick Aldis be willing to bury himself on the way out of the door? Because he's doing something. It's so obvious. Corgan would go on to explain there was no animosity between the NWA and Aldis over his intentions to leave, and that he wanted to do what was best for the NWA. Billy Corgan can say there is no animosity between the NWA and Aldis, but clearly there is animosity between the NWA and Aldis. He's been suspended. He was removed from a championship match at the anniversary show. He's been removed from an upcoming pay-per-view. Clearly, there is animosity between the parties. Certainly, there's animosity between Aldis and the NWA, and I think that's reflected. And I don't really understand Corgan's logic here, must be said. And by the way, separately from this, I'm a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan, so I've got no issues with that kind of thing of Billy Corgan. I question his pro wrestling thought process, and to be honest, I didn't for a long time. When I used to hear interviews with Billy Corgan, I didn't agree with everything he used to say, but I used to look at, again, NWA Power and go, that's a good show, and there is a place for studio wrestling, old school studio wrestling and podium interviews in today's modern age, and they did stand out because of that, and it was a throwback, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I really enjoyed NWA Power. It's such a shame. But to now say that, why is he doing this? Because he's working an angle. I don't know what the angle is, but why is he doing it? Why would he build up a company only to bury it on the way out? The reason he's saying these things publicly is he's not happy. He's been, from his perspective, I would suggest, and I don't know, I haven't spoken to Nick Aldis, but I would suspect the reason why he's speaking out is because he has done all of these things. Because, as he mentioned, he built up a company. He gave his prime years to the National Wrestling Alliance when there was an offer on the table. Maybe there was an offer from the WWE, and maybe he had burnt that bridge with Impact Wrestling at the time. But there was an offer from All Elite Wrestling to be on cable television, to be in this new upcoming big company backed by a billionaire on TNT every single week. Not to say that he would have been a big success, but Cody Rhodes was there, and you know for a fact they would have done Cody Rhodes versus Nick Aldis 3. They'd have done it, and they'd probably done it on pay-per-view, and they probably would have done very well. Not saying it would have been the main event, but it would have done very well. Nevertheless, he puts his prime years into this company. He puts his neck out on the line for this company. Again, he really builds the company, not around himself, but he does it because he's capable of being able to build a small company around him, and they had a great roster. And to go from that to what it is now, to again, Tyrus possibly winning the World Heavyweight Championship, to having, doing a successful event like NWA Empower, and then actually when the demand is there, and it is, when the demand is there to do a second NWA Empower show, when people are talking about why aren't you doing a second Empower show, which again was executive produced by his wife, a legendary wrestler in Mickie James, you get the response from people like Billy Corgan and Trevor Murdoch of, can they work the NWA style? What is the NWA style? As I said before, if the NWA style is boring and shit, basically, great style. Yeah, they can't work that style. They can work a better one. And he must be so disappointed because he must think I've put my time, my money, and my family through a lot, to this company. I've been loyal to this company to see what it's turned into. I can't, it must hurt him. That's what he's doing. He's not necessarily burying himself. Realistically, what he's burying is Billy Corgan and the company on the way out, because it's a shame. That's really what's going on. And because he feels like his wife, Mickie James, has been insulted. And his wife has been disrespected. And family will always come above business in that situation. So that's realistically what's going on there. So I don't know. And again, it would appear all signs seemingly are pointing to the fact that Tyrus is going to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Of course, that is going to lead to a ginormous explosion of conversation and debate on social media. Because I remember when he won the television championship, it was exactly the same. I think it was, I don't know if it was this year or last year, but the point was it's 2021 and Tyrus just won the NWA Television Championship. And again, it's nothing to do with politics. It's more so to do with pro wrestling, in my opinion. When it comes to Tyrus, is that he just should. I'm not saying there isn't a space for him on a pro wrestling program, because there's space for everyone. If you can bring something to the table, and clearly he can, clearly he has an audience. But the main event, you kidding me? 49 years of age. And it's not like 49 years of age, but he's moving around like he's a 25-year-old. No, he's moving around like he's 75. Watch a Tyrus match. So it's wild. It really is wild. But it's not the only drama when it comes to the NWA at the moment. We've got a retirement from the company. Taryn Terrell. Nick Aldis isn't the only wrestler that gave their notice to the NWA. Fightful Select reported yesterday that former TNA Knockouts champion Taryn Terrell, also known as ECW General Manager Tiffany in WWE, has told others she gave her notice to the National Wrestling Alliance last month. Fightful are reporting that she had expressed concerns with the lack of direction in the show and wasn't happy about the company's reaction when she'd stated her head hurt following a match. She'd hoped to finish out remaining dates but is unable. Terrell largely had left pro wrestling in 2015 but came back briefly in 2017. Aside from that one set of tapings, she was largely retired for 5 years until coming back to wrestle exclusively for the National Wrestling Alliance. She'd had about 10 matches in the company and had been teaming with Natalia Markova as of late. Fightful had reached out to Taryn Terrell but hadn't heard back at the time of their reporting. The NWA hadn't confirmed at the time that she was leaving the company, but then this actually blew up even more yesterday because she's now announced her retirement. She really has. In a post on Instagram yesterday, November 9, Terrell stated that it's time for her to hang up her boots. She thanked the NWA and company president for the opportunities. Terrell also wished the company the best and noted that she intends to keep entertaining by doing stunts. She's a stunt woman by trade. That's how she actually got really, really good at pro wrestling. I'll talk about that in a second. But the post is as follows. In my career, I have often not been able to be the first to break my own news. At every company, it makes it to the public before I was truly ready to say anything. Anyhow, I've decided that it's now time to officially hang up my boots forever. It's so bittersweet. NWA gave me a wonderful opportunity to manage. The problem is I can't be beside that ring and find happiness. I love the ring. Being inside the ropes and connecting with the humans in the crowd fuels me. There's no place like it. Therefore, I asked for more. They gave me more and gave me really fun matches, share that I had to compete, creative freedom. I was able to tell stories the way I saw them. I'm grateful to Billy for allowing me a place to create and relive moments inside that ring. I knew I was ready to be done, but I also knew I wanted to feel the rush of having a match again. Billy gave me that, but the truth is, it's fine to say goodbye. I love entertaining and fully intend to continue that in the way of stunts. Thank you to Billy for the fun last year and a half. I wish you and NWA the very best. Thank you to Pat Kenny, the one and only Simon Diamond, who constantly reminded me to believe in myself. To all the girls I've grown close to and the Rubber Duck Clan, I freaking love you all, and I'll be cheering you on as you continue to kick ass. The NWA's official Twitter account responded to the post and stated that everyone has loved watching Terrell shine both inside the ring and alongside it. The post stated that she will be missed and wished her nothing but the best in her path ahead. As I mentioned, this comes after this report about her not being happy with the NWA. Look, it would appear, I think Taryn Terrell had a good relationship, a positive relationship with Billy Corgan, and I think that dates back to her Impact Wrestling days. And really, as I mentioned, she had grown into a really fantastic performer. Truly, she had. You go back and watch some of her Impact Wrestling matches against Gail Kim. There was a last knockout standing matches involved there. They're excellent. They're real fun, good matches. She had really grown into becoming a fantastic wrestler, and it's a shame that she wasn't happy with the direction of the product and wasn't happy with the direction of the company. She's not the only one. Their former World Champion is leaving because of the very same reason. And it would appear that maybe she's just like, well, I'd only really want to wrestle in the NWA, and if that's not happening, then I guess I won't be wrestling anymore, which also, again, is a massive shame. And what is concerning, very concerning, is that she had expressed to the company her head hurt following a match, and the company didn't really react in a positive manner to that. That is concerning. With everything we know nowadays about concussions, about CTE, the tragedies that we have gone through in professional wrestling, to, as I mentioned, to really have that kind of reaction is unnerving. And again, we don't know the full issues when it comes to that, so I'm not going to throw too much shade there, but certainly that is concerning news. So the NWA, as I mentioned, continues to be a bit of a lightning rod, and I would assume, to be honest with you, they probably like it. This is a company that gets very rarely any attention. As I mentioned, post-pandemic or after the world's opened back up again, no one talks about the NWA. They do shows every week, in terms of television shows. I think they're on Fight TV at this point, but no one really talks about the NWA anymore unless it's for bad reasons, frankly. So I would think probably Billy Corgan actually loves having a bit of notoriety and controversy surrounding them. And as I mentioned, if the reports are accurate that they're creating a custom championship or an extended championship to fit you know, Tyrus, then I think we might be talking a little bit about them more. Certainly coming out of the weekend, that's sure. And even if it was a custom NWA World Championship, that's the one of the last remaining things that's iconic about the NWA is its championship, is the 10 pounds of gold. If they change that for Tyrus, that's the whole thing for Tyrus. It's world. But nevertheless, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe button right hand corner. Let me know your thoughts on this developing NWA news stories, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.